Good morning, everyone. It's Fergal here from Enterprise Imaging Systems. We have a few people coming online there, so we'll just give it a minute or two. Welcome. Glad you could join us this morning. I'm going to introduce you to David Owen in a few minutes, but just to give you a little bit of background about us. We're Enterprise Imaging Systems. We're based in Dublin. We sell document management systems to companies across Ireland and the UK. We have about 1,100 companies, and most of our customers use our applications for managing all sorts of paperwork. We came across VirtualCabinet a number of years ago, and they have a very, very good document management system that they've developed themselves, and they focus in accountancy practices and financial advisors. And we've had a good bit of success with them over the last number of years. We've a number of customers in Ireland. Just to give you an idea, that we'd have companies like Connolly McCabe in Monaghan, or Candor in Galway, or Aspel & Co in Wexford, and they would be various accountancy practices of different sizes. They could be maybe 9 or 10 employees or 20 employees. So the application is applicable to small accountancy practices and large accountancy practices. So this morning, David is just going to give you an overview of the system. It's very hard on a webinar to try and focus on any particular one company. So it's really just to give you a feel for the application, how the application works, how it looks, and how it can be applied to your business. So if anyone afterwards wants more information, my email will come up at the end, and we're quite happy to do one-to-one seminars afterwards. There is a question section as well, so if you have any questions, if you want to post questions during the seminar, I'll keep an eye on that and we'll try and get to a few questions at the end. I know they say death by PowerPoint was a phrase used a couple of years ago. I think it's death by webinar at the moment. Everyone seems to be on webinars, so we will try and keep it short, we'll try and keep it light, and we'll try and keep it intuitive. And if you do have questions, we'd love you to ask those questions. So I'll hand you over to David Owen now, and he can take it on. And my goal in life is to end up with a title like David. It says Global Head of VirtualCabinet. So with a title like that, it's like a footballer with shiny boots. He better be good. So I'll pass you on to David, and I'll mute. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Right. Well, thank you very much for that introduction, Fergal. You've certainly set the bar high now for me. I'm not a big fan of that actual job title. I'm sure when I'm not around, people replace the global and put something slightly more derogatory in front of the head. But yes, good morning, everyone. A very warm welcome to you all, and thank you for joining this webinar today. Yeah, I've been working for my sins in the document management and productivity space here for over 10 years. And during that time, I've worked with businesses of all sizes, from startups, small practices working from home, through to many of the top 100s. And as Fergal said, across various different service industries, private banks, accountants, insurance firms, insolvency practitioners, and many other sectors. All of those firms have come through from our global reach of customers across the UK, Ireland, USA, and Australia regions. And despite their regional disparity, they all share the same common goals, mainly those being to offer their customers great customer service, of course, fantastic staff welfare, and to be as efficient and as profitable as possible. Now, despite having those shared common goals, the journey of watching and helping them through the ever-changing landscape of technology and regulation changes has not only been interesting, but incredibly rewarding. I'd say that 3 key areas that we've all seen is digital transformation, the rise of the cloud, and more recently, GDPR. And at different times, they've all pushed their way to the front of the queue for business owners to consider. Now, these changes have come about for positive reasons, but have certainly come with their own challenges to navigate. So what's the main challenge that's at the root of all of those particular cases? It's this: it's information chaos. Without doubt, every business that I'm invited to go and offer my expertise to have the same problem, and that's multiple silos of information. As more and more technology applications niche into specialist areas, documentation has found its way into disparate islands of information everywhere. For example, if you look at the slide, businesses still have paper files, half paper files. Their emails are stored in personal folders in Outlook. Word and Excel and PDF files are stored in shared drives on servers. We've got cloud storage applications and websites and things like Dropbox. which is another silo of information. We have information that's supposed to be tagged into back office software and accountancy practice management systems. Then you put a CRM on top of that for prospecting. And then, of course, the rise of internal messaging apps. So if one person wants to go to one place, they're looking at going to maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 different applications to get that information. So how does all this tie into what's happening with the global pandemic and working from home? Well, what we've seen with our customer base and a recent survey we conducted with over 1,000 businesses is that moving from being office-based to home-based and being able to actually connect to systems to carry on working hasn't been as challenging as many might have thought. I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't a challenge, but not as bad as everyone first thought. A lot of people had the IT infrastructure in place to deal with it or able to spin up quickly. Most firms are already able to use virtual private networks and remote desktops to access on-premise servers. They transitioned face-to-face meetings to video conferencing. However, what has been a problem is that businesses without good document management policies have started to find cracks appearing in 4 key areas, with those being storage, accessibility, visibility, and process. Now, this is both internal and external. So the starting point to solving these problems is wherever possible with your documents to try and find a single source of truth. A single source of truth isn't just right from working from home, but of course it should be what you aspire to, right? That's the utopia. Before this lockdown appeared, when you go and look for a client file, you should be looking to find everything in one place so you can remedy the information chaos, right? All your correspondence for your client is there with all your business documentation, your tax file, your accounts, everything is in one single place. And as you can see from this slide, there are many, many benefits from getting everything into one place. That's the foundation, that's the ground floor for building the rest of your practice information on, so that you can leverage your integrations to your practice management system, so you can get automations and start to do things like what I'm going to show you today with a secure client-facing portal and finishing your 360 workflow with clients using electronic signatures. So with everything that's happening at the moment, I wanted to share some examples that we're getting inquiries about, those firms that have not moved from paper processes really, and how we can help with VirtualCabinet. So you see on your screen at the moment, there's sort of 4 things that are the main focus points of user cases, and that is tasks. So we refer to tasks as essentially workflow and business processes. Email capture, so the email problem where obviously when you're in the office, you can print off the emails, you can store them into a paper filing cabinet. Maybe people store them in their personal Outlook folders, but if you're in the office, you can obviously ask another person a question about that email. When you're working from home, that becomes slightly more of a problem. Having a portal, so being able to share sensitive information to people in a compliant way, without having to use an email, which is obviously unencrypted, and then having the ability for them to be able to send you documents 2-way back, directly from the device that they're on, whether it be an iPad or a laptop. And then, of course, the signatures, which I alluded to a minute ago, so that you can actually transfer a document securely to someone and then get them to sign a document, whether it be a tax return, letter of engagement, whatever that may be, so they can do that easily just within a click of a button. So every business has multiple actions with documents all day, and at any level of the organization, they can need approvals. So when we're talking about tasks here at VC, with that workflow, we label them tasks. And what I've seen, or certainly started to see more and more now, is that when we're working in an office environment, businesses that are using paper are reliant on the presence of staff to get things done, right? So now we're working from home, the ability to look over your desk and shout at someone, push the paper under their nose to get it signed off is gone. However, if you digitalize that process, there is an easy way to deal with this electronically You can get internal approvals done like you would do in the paper process, but through a good document management system, which leads to further benefits, as you can see from the slide. So sometimes people say to me, okay, David, what is a task? Because it's so natural, because we've become so immune to actually building efficient processes, because things just tend to happen when we're in the office because people are around, as I just alluded to. So just to put on the screen some real examples of things that are process driven, that require an outcome between you and your staff in your practice, that happen all day, every day, that you can get going. So whether it's client onboarding, whether it's an exit process, whether you're getting a letter of engagement signed off, that probably needs an internal approval first, tax returns with a covering letter that maybe the partner wants to read before it goes out. You do all of that process digitally within your workflow in the task, and then of course use that second layer of communication with the portal to get it digitally signed off, which is what I was speaking about and referring to with the 360 workflow approvals. So apologies in advance here to anyone in management. This includes myself, of course, but what I often hear from staff is that managers are not always at their desks, right? They're in meetings, they're internal meetings, external meetings, they're meeting clients, they're fee earning, etc. So bottlenecking appears. And a tip here is, when looking for a document management system, is that it has to have extensibility to mobile from desktop, right? Your staff are trying to get things done. You may not be available at your desk at the time, but if you can access that information workflow on a mobile device, on an iPad, whilst you're on the go, it makes the whole thing very, very easy. And it's not just about a mobile app, this is about any device. A system such as VirtualCabinet has extensibility to any device, whether that's mobile, tablet, or laptop, which is really important, because as we start to see the slow lifting of the lockdown that we're seeing at the moment, businesses, I'm sure, are going to have to start to have more flexible working. I've seen examples of businesses talking about 2 days on, 2 days off, 3 weeks on, 3 days off, rotating staff. So it's important that you have access to documents and, for example, these task approvals for quick bursts of activity whilst you're on the move. Now, without doubt, if we go to the next user case, one of the biggest problems businesses have been facing that I have visited over the years and still hearing about now is the growing pains of keeping control of email. So if you look at some of these statistics here, they're actually quite alarming, and we're talking about workers on average receiving 126 emails a day. I don't know about you, but that feels very, very low. But this is increasing on year, and companies are losing up to 20% of records each year due to misfiling. And we don't really think about that when we're in practice, because we're all so busy. We don't think about the undertow of how much that is costing our businesses. And the bottom statistic there is, for me, the most probably enlightening one of them all. By using the right tools and strategies to manage email, you can actually save the equivalent of 20 8-hour working days each year for your members of staff. That's nearly a month given back to your staff on efficiency gains just by sorting out the email problem. Certainly food for thought. So what is the problem? Now, this is an example that could be, for example, any team, right? This is just a picture that I like to use because it depicts it quite nicely, but tens, if not hundreds of emails going back and forth internally. This is, a small business or large business. I see them all, and it's the same problem. They're either being part stored centrally, or even worse, not stored at all. So what is the solution? It's this, it's getting a good automatic email capture tool. And rather than talking through the theory of it, I think what I'll do is I'll actually just show you the practical example of it as we go through, which is a kind of a good segue into the remaining use case. Email, despite its volume, is incredibly inefficient communication platform, as we've seen when you're trying to get business done. But a portal should absolutely be key to your business software ecosystem. If you haven't got one, or if you have maybe got one already, it's not meeting your requirements, then what I was going to do is in this next slide actually give you some tips of the sort of things that you should be looking for in a good portal. So firstly, it should be fully integrated to your single source of truth that I described earlier, right? Then you look for something with GDPR compliance built in. So for example, should be looking for something that's got around about 256-bit encryption, which is double industry standards, sort of thing you see on online banking. It should have insightful reporting, because if you've got that integration to your single source of truth, it will show you whether people have opened documents, read their documents, downloaded their documents, signed their documents, so that you can track that information very quickly and efficiently. Should have secure messaging built into the portal, because if they're looking at the document in the portal, you don't want them to come out of the portal and then have to send you a separate email to discuss something that might be on the document itself. Custom branding. So when you're using a portal as a client's perspective, you don't want it to feel different to what your business domain looks like. It should have complete custom branding, same logos, strap lines, etc. So it feels like an extension of your business. And last, of course, most importantly, when they get to the portal, they need to have something more beneficial than just using email. So you should have something like a legally binding electronic signature as part of the process, so that they can actually sign a document off and you're offering better customer service. So electronic signatures naturally help, and certainly in these times at the moment, forget the post for a start, which is obviously a problem in terms of leaving your house. But as we start to go from this situation to having a bit more freedom, you still don't know when you're sending a document to someone whether they've got scanners or printers at home. So if you can use the portal with electronic signature, that is quite clearly giving them extra benefit of dealing with you. It's a differentiator for your practice and another practice up the road. It makes your practice a lot more sticky in terms of good customer levels of service. So you might be thinking, are electronic signatures legally binding? Well, good news. They are, as you can see from the slide above. They're not only approved by the Law Commission, the signature processes that we use in our VirtualCabinet portal is in line with the UK Digital Signatures Act 2001, for people in Ireland, the European Digital Signatures Directive 2000. So that is actually recognised as good as a wet signature in a court of law. So this was just a very quick slide to show you this sort of example that this is actually one of our clients. This is their portal environment. As you can see, their background image is the same as their website. So that can either be driven from their website directly and they can log in, or when they get an email notification of a new document, the link will drive them straight into their portal. And you can see that you can have all your logos, company strap lines. They can change the colors to suit the same color as their existing logos. They can even have things like their social media as part of that. So lastly, before I get to the demo, an observation that I've had many conversations with senior management about in many firms during this lockdown period, and the general consensus seems to be working from home or flexible working is going to be now the new norm. I'm not saying staff aren't ever going to go to the office. Of course they are. People need human interaction. I'm all for that. But maybe 1 or 2 days a week, staff may be allowed to have more flexible working arrangements. I personally think it's a very positive outcome. As you can see from just a few points on the slide, I believe it will start to become a benefit that firms will have to start to offer as part of their employment package. So it's important that you consider all of this as part of the overall solution, that you have the right systems in place. Okay, so we've gone through some user cases, we've gone through some theory of what's happening in the world at the moment and how you can apply that. But what I'm going to do now is just have a shift, a gear change from looking at the PowerPoint and go into the actual demo environment. So just bear with me as I switch screens. I'm just going to switch over to the demonstration. Okay, so now hopefully you should be looking at VirtualCabinet on your screen. So this is basically the landing page for VirtualCabinet. So as you can see here, you have a ribbon of the last few documents that you as a member of staff have been looking at. you can click on the document, you can do everything you'd expect to do with the document. You can open it, you can email it, you can print it, you can publish it to the portal. It's all controlled around a user privilege. So you can totally control what they can and can't do with the documents. So if you don't want them to be able to delete the documents, those sorts of buttons will be removed. You can control what areas of the file that they can see. You can even control what documents they can and can't see. So it's a lot more granular security than you'd be used to in normal systems. Really, there's three areas you would go to in VirtualCabinet, and then that would be the scan tab there at the top. So you can scan documents into the software. I have one client actually based in Southern England. They have VirtualCabinet, and they've said that it has been it's been a lifesaver for them, because at the moment they have one member of staff that goes in just once or twice during the week, and they pick up their posts and they scan their post in from the office. Everyone else is working from home. They can use VirtualCabinet to distribute the paper letters around, and the whole process from a practice perspective has been able, they can just continue as per normal. So what we have here is an in tray in VirtualCabinet. So each member of staff would have their own in tray, and an in tray is exactly like having a plastic physical in tray on your desk. You can move bits of post really nice and fluidly between yourselves, use it as a holding area before you go to file documents away. And then of course at some point you want to go and search for your documents back, and that's where you can go to the client file, which is what I'll show you in a minute. You can access your documents really nice and easily, and then use that as your launch pad to be able to share documents via the portal. So I'm just going to hop over to the in tray, show you what that looks like. So imagine now this is your in tray. Okay, so you have 14 documents in your in tray. 8 of those are unread, and the idea of the in tray is it's very much like, as I said before, like having the paper on your desk. So you have a nice big document viewer over the left hand side. You can dock that across onto another screen if you want to. So you could have, I don't know, your relate to practice management open on one, or CCH open on one screen, and then you can have your in tray open on the other, and it's just like flicking through your documents. And you can see, regardless of document type here, you can just flick between these documents really nice and easily. It's absolutely fine. And if you wanted to move a document to someone, you can see over on the right hand side I have in trays. So again, anyone with a license, you can have group in trays like managers, partners, payroll team, whatever it may be, and you can simply just drag and drop. I'm going to pass this to Mark, and in this case I could send it, but I can do things like adding a sticky note and FYI people in. So I'm just going to press send, and that now moves that document over to Mark. Mark will get a pop-up notification letting him know he's got a new document. Now the beauty of getting this electronic process in straight away is that you can start to have visibility on everything. You can start to track it, whereas it's going around an email or in traditional processes in paper, you really have no visibility as a manager within your business, no visibility of what's going on. Whereas in VirtualCabinet, what we start to do is surface that business information to you. So you can see here I'm hovering over the reports tab, and you get a number of reports which can be controlled based on the privilege. So you can start to see things like what's in people's in trays. Maybe there's a build up of documents here in Carl's in tray, and you didn't realize that, but you now do because you've got the visibility. And what was the reason? Carl was off sick. So you can go and redistribute to someone else. If you're using the tasks that we spoke about, what you can start to see here is a report that shows you exactly what's happening in the business. So correspondence in, correspondence out, what needs approval. Yeah. And you can see that by not only the type of work, but the worker. So you could drill into an individual member of staff, anything that is document centric around a process. You'd easily be able to see what's happening, what's outstanding, when it was supposed to be done by a due date, who the client was for, and that sort of information. So I'm going to go back to my in tray, and I'm just going to show you quickly how you go to file a document away. Now, over on the right-hand side, you can see here I've got a number of different filing cabinets. Just ignore that for this particular demonstration. I've, over the years, of course, done many demonstrations with different types of accountancy integrations. So we're just going to focus on the client's accountancy folder here. And again, it's just a simple drag and drop process. So if I wanted to take this tax return and file it away, it's a simple drag and drop. I'm going to drop it onto my client's accountancy folder. The first thing VirtualCabinet says to you is, what type of document are you dealing with here? This is so that we can get a centralized filing convention that everyone is doing it the same way. And that, of course, builds the logic that makes it so easy when you come to searching for your documents back. So I've got a typical example here of a county structure, pink file, buff file, blue file, that sort of situation, general correspondence, tax, and so on. This is all completely customizable, by the way. So we'll work with you and get your naming convention right so that it's the same language and it's easy to adopt. But if I just pick here that it's a tax return, you can have it automatically filling in dates, as you can see here. And of course, you can change those dates with drop downs if you need to. But again, all of this is customizable. In this particular case, you can see some chevrons in the client code or name. And this is because VirtualCabinet can integrate to your practice management systems. So for example, if you're using Drive Relate or CCH or any other practice management system, we can integrate that. So as you onboard a new client, you add it to that practice management system, it automatically populates into VirtualCabinet, so you don't have to keep multiple databases updated. If you change a record, it'll automatically fix itself back into VirtualCabinet. So of course, as you come in here, you've got a drop-down list of all your client names and codes. And if you simply start typing what you're looking for, so in this case, our example would be Linden House Software as your client. So we're just going to select that, watch what happens with the client code. It automatically go and picks the client code back out of the practice management system so that you're not having keying entry errors. It's all automated as part of the integration. So I'm just going to go ahead and file that document away. Obviously, I've laboured the process a little bit as we talked it through, but it was just a simple drag and drop. Pick the code, and you're ready to move on to your next task. Some of these documents we can actually capture automatically depending on your tax and account software. So in some cases, you automatically produce a digitally born document, and we can look to see if we can capture those, label them, and automatically file them so that you're not even having to do a drag and drop process. But then we get to email. So that was another user case that we spoke about. So I'm going to hop over to my Outlook now. So as you can see in my Outlook, there is a couple of new columns. So there's a tick box there or red color code next to it, if you like it a bit more visual. And that is a very quick view to give you an indication as to what has and hasn't been filed in VirtualCabinet already. So you can see the ones that have been ticked off with the color code that has been filed to VirtualCabinet. The clear one here is obviously not filed to VirtualCabinet. Okay, so how does that happen? How does it automatically get filed away? So what I'm going to do is start a brand new email. So nothing is happening here with VirtualCabinet at the moment. So over on the right hand side, you can see that there's a VirtualCabinet add-in that's blank. If I just skip a step, basically what will happen is you have the same filing information as you would do if you're filing from your in tray. So you can see it's starting to be a bit more clever. So it's remembering where I'm working, it's selecting its bit of correspondence to or from client, which obviously you can change with the drop down if you need to make sure it's going in exactly the right place of the file. And then it's just saying to you, well, tell me the client name or code. This time I'll do the code. You can see it pulled the client name back straight away. So I'm ready to file this email away, and off it goes. So imagine that's the first time that that's ever happened, okay, and you filed an email away against that particular client. Now we're going to start the process again because this is where the software starts to come into its own. So this time I'm going to put in an email address and watch what happens over the right hand side. So as soon as I do that, select the email address, it's automatically populated the suggestion because it's going, I've seen you file this before, I know who it belongs to. Now in this particular example, again, I'm really flexing the muscles of VirtualCabinet because in the real user case environment, maybe there is you look after a director of 5 businesses, but he or she only uses one email address. So the software is going, okay, I couldn't possibly know what the context of what's in the email, but I do know it belongs to one of those 5 businesses. So which one is it? It's just asking for a bit of human intelligence. So it's offering up the suggestions for you. So you can say, yep, okay, that's the one I wanted. Linden House Software is automatically filled all the index information. And here's the clever bit. Not only has it offered up a suggestion of where it needs to file it for you and filled in the index information, but it says all future replies and forwards in this email conversation will be automatically captured for you. So you don't have to think about going through your inbox, your sent items. If this is compliance information that you want to get on the file, and you know that there could be several email chains going on, VirtualCabinet will record the entire conversation on your behalf, file it and flag it, as you've seen earlier, in your Outlook, so that you know that process has been done. Also, what really helps, we talked earlier about multiple filing. So in a normal working environment, people don't know who the responsibility is to be doing the filing, right? Because there might be more than one internal member of staff on that email chain. So what often happens is no one files it away because they're waiting for someone else to do the filing, or everybody files it away. So it might go onto a shared drive where everyone saves a copy, and then you end up in this even probably worse situation, because then the next person that goes in to look at the correspondence is going, which is the latest version? I'm seeing multiples, I don't know which one to reply to, and it again starts to be information chaos. So what VirtualCabinet does to help you with that is, if anyone else internally is involved in the email chain, as soon as it starts to automatically file it away, let's just say there's 2 partners CC'd on that email, it will retrospectively go over to the partner's Outlook and flag it as well, as you're seeing here, to notify them that it's been filed away. So there's no second guessing, everyone knows the original is filed away. So that will file the original email away with the attachments on. If there's attachments, you can delete this email out of your Outlook if you want to, knowing full well that that copy of the email is in VirtualCabinet, it's safe, it's under audit control, you can open it, you can reply, forward and send and use it like an original email, you know, even if it's 2 years later. So the last thing that it does is it keeps that integration into Outlook. So for example, if I go to this email here and I open it up, and imagine that this is maybe an email where during the day we've been talking through and we're sort of eight emails on in the conversation, and a question has been asked, so you need to go to the actual file to be able to get a document from the file to be able to answer that question. Over on the right hand side, VirtualCabinet is retained the indexing information. So it's retained here that it's to do with this change of year end, to do with Linden House and the meeting we had. So you can click on any number of those. You can see it's being highlighted. You can just click on that, and then it will go and retrieve that information from the file for you and bring it back from Outlook, so you can answer that question straight away. So you don't even have to go and search like you would do in any other file system. So that's email. And now I'm going to go back to VirtualCabinet, and we're going to go and search for the file, and lastly send a document up in the portal. So I'm now in the search tab. So imagine this is now you want to go and retrieve a file back. It's really nice, straightforward process. You here can just simply go into the left-hand drop-down boxes, and anything that's been tagged either automatically or manually against this document, you'll be able to search for, but of course in reverse. So for example, I can click here on my fees. I want to get to all my fees here within the file, and I want to go and find any fee notes for example, Linden House. Yeah, so I've clicked that, so the software has automatically retrieved those fee letters, so I can just flick through those really nice and easily, and that is nice and straightforward. I can do a lot more technical searching than that. So for example, if you are a partner and you wanted to come and select the correspondence from this particular client and you wanted to see the last 6 months, you could just easily go from and to dates and select them, hit return, and you'd be able to see everything in the correspondence file for the last 6 months. I'm just going to clear that search away and start again, because I don't use VirtualCabinet like that, even though it's very, very logical. I like to use this kind of Google style search bar at the top here. So I'm going to search via the client code or client name, just start typing what I'm looking for, hit return, and then VirtualCabinet has gone off and found the file for me. So here I've got 100 results, so it's a nice busy file going on. And what VirtualCabinet has done for you is it's broken it down into vertical columns. So you can see here what the type of file is. So whether it's an Excel spreadsheet, a Word document, an email, and so on. You can see the version of the document, because it'll always keep it under version control. So you will see that this Word document here is the 5th version of the document. So that everyone knows that they're working from the most current version. If they need to, they can get back to the previous versions, and you can see the audit trail of who's been working on it. you can now see that it's grouped your documents up into specific subsections. So you can see I've got my abbreviated accounts, my correspondence, and so on. The reason it's doing it like that is that you can come into this and you can filter very, very simply. So you can start to actually go through this, and let's just say you wanted anything from revenue. You could start typing here, and you can see it's gone across multiple sections and found any correspondence in general and also in tax, and maybe you wanted to filter on just emails for anything to do with revenue. You can see very quickly now I've got rid of all my Word documents and letters, and I'm just left with my emails to and from revenue. So it's very, very powerful in the way it does its searching. You can even flip the file over and see a paper view with it. So if I now find maybe just the tax section of the file, I don't want all the other parts of the file. So now I've just filtered it down to Linden House Tax. You can see all the tax files there. And what you can do is you can start to actually change the file over from what is viewed as here a more paper focused approach. So it's very visual. So you can see very quickly if I wanted to find that tax form there that I just filed away, I can see straight away by flicking through the file. It's easy to find. So that is searching. You've also got content searching in the system, so we can actually help you by finding a document back where you can just type in a word and it will find the whole of the file back just from something in the content of the document rather than the labeling. So it's impossible to lose a document. So from this point, how do we send a document to the portal, just to sort of wrap this demonstration up? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to the main file. So I want to be able to send 3 documents via the portal. So we're going to use the tax return that we filed away earlier as the example. And what we're going to do is we are going to add the computation of the workings, and also we're going to use a covering letter. So I'm just going to right click on that. So you will be able to just click on publish to portal. So completely integrated to the actual file that you're working in. So by selecting that, what it does is it brings back a kind of an email style interface here. So it feels nice and familiar. So you can simply start typing, in this case, the email address of who you're going to send it to. So I'm going to send this over to Gordon Gilchrist as my client. And obviously, if you had more than one person, you could just keep adding the email addresses. So as like an email, you would put a subject. So I'm just going to call this tax return pack 2020. And in here, we've automatically got the labeling convention picked up from the document management system, but you can easily change any of those. So if you just wanted to call this covering letter, you can do that. So it makes it more understandable to the client, but doesn't actually affect the document management system. So like what you would do if you were sending a document in the post, you'd probably put the order that you want them to read it in. So I'm just going to move that tax return down and the covering letter up there. And now they're all in exactly the order that the client is going to open them up like they would as a letter. So my covering letter is at the top. And there's 2 actions you can basically get within the portal. So that red button there is enabling you to request a document in return. So imagine this is pre-tax return process. Imagine this was a letter of engagement. You were just signing up and onboarding a new client. And as part of that process for money laundering, the letter might say, for example, please can you send me a copy of your driving license or passport or something like that. So by clicking the red arrow, there will be a big upload button on this Word document. So when they receive this letter via the portal, when they click on it, they will see that upload button, and that upload button will browse to any device that they're on. So as what I was talking to right at the beginning, that user case where people you don't know what devices they've got at home. In this case, they can just take a picture of the driving license on their mobile phone. They can press upload on that Word document. It'll browse to that camera roll. They can press upload and it will securely send it straight back to you and notify you in VirtualCabinet. In the case of this tax return, we want a digital signature for the tax document. So you can see there's some fountain pens here. So all you need to do is tick whichever documents that you want signed off, and then the client will be able to get to that document and digitally sign the document. So I'm just going to go ahead and press publish now. So this is now sending a secure link without the documents attached, so you are adhering to GDPR compliance, to your client, all fully branded, and they will be able to go through the process of getting those documents on the portal. Just before I go over and show you what it looks like from the client's perspective, a couple of clever things have happened back in VirtualCabinet. So you can see here now that against these documents, you can see there's basically what we would describe as a paperclip. By having that paperclip, what VirtualCabinet is actually doing is it's putting those documents all together as a pack of documents. So later on, you're able to just click on those pack of documents, and what it will do is it will clear down the rest of the file for you, so you know what associated documents are to this covering letter or this tax return. There's also a cloud icon next to these documents to represent these are currently published to your client in the cloud, and you've got a silent audit trail. So if I hop over to the audit trail here and click on Gordon, you'll see that currently these documents are unread, right? These will change as they go through the process. So let's go and look at it from the client's perspective. Let's go and hop over to a test Gmail account. So imagine this is your client. So I'm just going to refresh that. So there's a brand new email that's come through from myself at VirtualCabinet. Now, of course, all of this would be completely customized. We wouldn't have any VirtualCabinet information on here. This is just for the demonstration. So all your company logos, your text, your name and address, etc., etc. So it's completely white labeled. In this case, Gordon wouldn't need to download any software, any applications. They can be on any browser, and they will be driven straight to your client-facing portal. Now, this is an example again of what I've put together. So I've just dropped down a background image, but all of this within VirtualCabinet without needing any website experience or cost to you whatsoever can be changed. You can put your logo in, you can change the colors, put your business strapline in. And the first time that they ever hit the link, they'll be driven here automatically to just fill in their password, which is self-servicing, so they can go and reset it if they need to. But of course, I've got a password because I've done the demonstration many, many times before. So I am just going to log in as Gordon. So first of all, what happens is they get driven straight away into seeing the document that you want them to see. So they don't have to go and find it like a Dropbox type environment where you have to set up folders and structures. You know, you don't have to train your clients how to use it. It's completely intuitive. This is a Word document, but it actually gets embedded in the browser so that you've got complete peace of mind that they can read everything that you've sent to them. There's messaging, there's avatars over the left-hand side, so it feels very much just as simple as using something like Gmail. This is all touchscreen ready and responsive, so it can be on any device. And as you start to skim through your documents as a client, we get to the final document, and there's a nice simple green or red button here. Green, of course, for signing the document off. So by hitting the sign button, it's just warning me that this is going to be a electronically binding legal digital signature as good as a hard copy document. So I can just go ahead and press sign. It's checking my identity. It's good to go. They get offered to have a copy if they want with the signature on. You will also be notified back in VirtualCabinet that a new copy has come in with the signature, which can be clicked and filed away with one click. It also is trying to prompt them for additional workflow. So if there was previous copies of documents earlier on that haven't been read or signed off, is automatically putting them at the top as a to-do. So that is the portal. Again, this is all completely customized to you. They can upload documents in the portal. So it's that kind of ubiquitous access to any key documents that you want to leave them as part of the portal process. So if I hop back over to VirtualCabinet and show you that basically the sign and audit trail that you have in the system has now been completed there. So that's the end of the demonstration process. What I'm going to do now is just quickly share my screen again. So just go back to where we were.
You work away there, Dave. Thanks a million for that. I think it's a skill in itself doing a presentation. I like doing presentations, but I like it with a bit of feedback. Doing a webinar can be a little tricky. In relation to VirtualCabinet, just as the lockdown kicked in, one of my customers here in Dublin, Aegis, they look after the roads and the tolls across Ireland, and they requested 20 extra licenses. I placed the order with David, and traditionally he would just send me an email. I'd print it off, scan it, and send it back. But because I was working at home, I said, I've no printer or scanner. Well, I do have a printer and scanner, but it's 10 years old. It's not compatible with my laptop. My laptop is new. They said, no problem. Stuck it up in a portal. I got an email saying you have new documents. Clicked on the portal, sign or decline, hit signed, and I got an email or a text from Dave saying, got that, buddy, get it sorted tomorrow. So the system, when I did that itself and I use it for my own customers, I found it invaluable, and I thought that now would be a really, really good time to get out and show people what Virtual Cabinet can actually do. If anyone has any questions, I didn't see too many questions coming through. We'd like to take a couple of questions. I have one or two questions that people normally ask, so I might fire off with those. And then we just have an offer we'd like to finish off with, and also a little thank you as well I want to tell you about, just to finally finish, because time is valuable and everyone's worried about their businesses, and I keep on hearing the new norm every other day. So people are a little unsure how everything's going to pan out. So in relation to Virtual Cabinet, David, if I get the application and I have all my information in one central location and I use a practice management system, and then in 2 years' time I decide to use a different practice management system, how is that managed? Does Virtual Cabinet become redundant?
So with Virtual Cabinet, we've built several APIs and integrations, and we've been doing this 20 years now, so we've worked with pretty much every practice management, tax and accounts system out there. So we have quite a few relationships with those providers, or even if we don't have relationships, we have what we would describe as our virtual integrations, where we don't actually need to be embedded within another software application. So one of the reasons why Virtual Cabinet is so popular is we're completely neutral. We don't have any particular commercial relationships or biases with any practice management system or software house out there, so that you can easily choose to move to a different software provider and you wouldn't need to go through a full migration process of your documents. So for example, we see this all the time. Let's just say someone had Relate one day, and then as part of their strategic plan, after the next tax season, they decided to move to CCH, for example. That would be no problem. You just give us a call. It'd take us like an hour, and we'd be able to remotely jump on and just point the new integration at the new practice management system, and your staff would just be able to carry on as normal without any disruption to your practice.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, that's very good. Just in relation to financial controllers, like our document management system is a product called Trax, and we deal with a lot of people in logistics and distribution, and it goes into financial areas for maybe purchase invoices and integrating with account systems and things like that, like SAP and Sage. But when I deal with accountants and people in the financial area, they're very, very conscious of the data they have on their clients, and they already have IT infrastructure, they have servers, they like the fact that they control all their own information. A lot of them aren't too pushed on putting it into the cloud. Can Virtual Cabinet be installed on premises, or what are you seeing across the UK in terms of trends?
Yeah, it's very similar, really. So we are seeing a mix. So we have some of the smaller businesses. Sometimes, if they're just starting up, they might not have a server in place. They may be looking for cloud applications, which is absolutely fine. We can help with that. But by its very nature, Virtual Cabinet is an on-premise solution, which is a hybrid solution, so you get best of both worlds. So for example, the main application that you saw today in a demonstration with the storage of documents, that actually sits on the server and sits alongside your practice management systems and so on. So you're in complete control at all times with your documents. Those are not in the cloud. If you decide to move from an on-premise server to private cloud, so you want to host it, hosted desktop or anything like that under your control, again, Virtual Cabinet can work in any of those environments: Citrix, hosted desktop, VPN, and so on. What we do though is for people that want mobility, so they want to control their documents, but they just want to be out and about and access documents without having to spend time trying to go onto a VPN and use the connections like that. They just want to basically pick up their phone and click on the app. As you saw earlier, we have an integrated Virtual Cabinet app, so you get best of both worlds. So you're still under control, but you still got the ability to leverage cloud should you need it.
Okay, brilliant. In relation to the portal then and signing stuff off, like I only used the portal and signed that order because I had to. I had no other option. Are you seeing a bigger uptake year on year with digital signatures? Are they becoming more the norm? Are people getting more comfortable with them, or do they still want to send a piece of paper, print it off, and sign it?
Well, I think that the reality is there still be some people out there that would want to get something sent to them in the post, and that's okay. We're not the post police here. You can send a document out in the post for those particular clients should you want to, but we are seeing a massive movement, and this isn't something that's new for us. And we were the first company in the UK to develop a completely integrated client-facing portal with our own digital signatures to the DM file. So this is 6 or 7 years in the making. We now have 1.7 million end users on the portal, now used in 110 different countries worldwide with digital signatures. So this is very much something which people, once they see it and start to use it, they will say to you, forget sending it to me in the post. I mean, the majority of your clients, who wants to have massive bundles of paperwork being sent to you all the time, and it's now my responsibility to look after it? No thanks. Just, I don't get my covering letter from my insurance company anymore. It's just available in their portal should I ever need it. The same thing here. I mean, I don't have to worry about, if I'm going to the bank to get a loan, to try and find my paperwork my accountant sent to me that might be in the garage somewhere. I can just log on to my documents on my phone, walk straight into the bank, show my bank manager my sets of accounts, and off I go. So it is starting with the digital signatures and portals to just become second nature, really.
Okay, brilliant. We better wrap it up now in the next minute or two, because again, I know people's time is very precious at the moment. So again, thanks a million, David, for doing that presentation. I thought it was very good. I know we skimmed through VirtualCabinet. You can probably talk about it all day if you really wanted.
Yeah, definitely. Just wanted to add one point, is that some people might be sitting on the webinar today and wondering about, how does this, is this expensive, or is it going to be tens, hundreds of thousands of pounds up front? It's not that. It is a subscription based model. It's based on a member of staff. It's modular, so you can pick and choose what you want. So it is very, very cost effective. You generally get your money back in 3 to 6 months. Just give you a rough idea. It can start from circa €35 per user per month, and that includes all the software, the licensing, and support, of course, as well as the stuff you've seen on the demonstration today. So it's very affordable for small businesses or large businesses that want to scale.
Great. Well, I'll be following up later this week and next week with everyone that came on as well. Just in relation to everyone's time, just as a thank you, there's a link that was sent to everyone. It's called Creative Against COVID-19, and it was set up by some artists where they put some pictures and stuff online, and you can select a picture, and if you send me the details, it's €40 for the picture, and it goes to the ISPCC, and it also goes to Women's Aid. So just as a thank you, we're no different than any other business. So when this broke, the first thing we worried about was our own business and were we going to be out of business. Fortunately, we see big opportunities, and when initially a number of demonstrations cancelled across the UK and Ireland, work has come back around, and we're very busy, and we see the future is very bright. So we'd love as many people as possible to email me with pictures, and we're doing one per company. And at least this morning, if you get nothing out of it, you've done a good deed, and we'll give a few bob to charity. So I really appreciate it. We don't want to take any more of your time. The big question as well is you can let me know, should the beard stay? That's a COVID beard. My wife's not too mad about it, but you have to mix it up in these times. So thanks a million for this morning. Really appreciate it. And again, David, very, very, very good job. Thank you very much.
Thank you for everyone that stayed on the call. Appreciate that. Thanks very much. Have a great day.
Cheers. See you guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.